world is a wild and unpredictable place. And isn't that absolutely amazing? Products can catch fire overnight. A back-of-the-napkin idea can change the world. An incurable disease can suddenly appear vulnerable. So many wonderfully improbable, never-before-possible breakthroughs are out there, waiting to be discovered. And with Amazon Web Services using custom Intel technology, you'll be ready for anything. Ready to unlock a human genome, to cure a debilitating disease, to go to another planet, to teach the world a new language, to fuel the world. Because you'll have Amazon Web Services featuring custom Intel technology at your fingertips. Because AWS and Intel engineers have worked together for over a decade to make sure you'll be ready. And because you'll have AWS's most innovative and powerful cloud service platform to help you make the impossible possible. That is the power of AWS with Intel. So go ahead, chase the moonshots, double down on what's working, pivot from what isn't. With Amazon Web Services and Intel, you can charge toward the unknown, ready for anything, and ready to change everything.
Good morning, ni hao, salamat pagi, vanakkam everyone. Welcome to the 2018 AWS Public Sector Summit Singapore. Please help me welcome to the stage Peter Moore, Regional Managing Director, Worldwide Public Sector, Asia Pacific, and Japan, Amazon Web Services.
Wow. Good morning, everyone. I'm really blown away by the number of people in this room and the number that are still streaming in and standing at the back. That's amazing. Things have just grown incredibly over the last few years, and these events keep getting bigger and bigger. But thank you for the introduction, Alexa. For those of you who are not familiar with Alexa, she's the AI voice behind the AWS cloud-powered Echo devices that many of you may have in your homes or your office, and she'll be introducing all of the presenters during our tracks today. So Alexa, will you please remind us why we're here today?
Hi Peter, thank you for asking. We are here today to welcome our customers across Singapore and abroad to our second annual AWS Public Sector Summit Singapore. Today will be full of learning opportunities for everyone, and we are excited to hear directly from many of our AWS customers on their journeys to the cloud.
Great, thanks Alexa. So we've got a great set of sessions today. I encourage you to take advantage of many opportunities that we've created for you today to learn more about AWS. We have 17 individual technical sessions across 2 tracks and our first ever student track. To help you figure out where to start, I'd like to ask Alexa for a little advice. Alexa, what sessions are your favorites?
Oh, Peter, there are so many good sessions to choose from. May I recommend getting started with AI and ML using Amazon SageMaker, education transformation in the cloud, or accelerate your cloud strategy with AWS training?
Well, thanks, Alexa. So today, the theme is all about building on AWS. It's about providing a day-long opportunity to educate yourself and build your knowledge of AWS. It's about how to build with our partners. It's about showcasing customers who are building amazing solutions on AWS. And if you're not already part of the AWS family, it's about building your confidence and your skills so that you can go back to your organizations and build something truly amazing on your own with AWS. I'd like to really thank Intel, our platinum sponsor. We can't host these events and make this awesome opportunity available to you without the contribution from our sponsors. So I want to thank Intel as our platinum sponsor. I also would like to thank Trend Micro, NCS, AsiaPac, and Telos as our gold sponsor. And you can see our silver and bronze sponsors there as well. So thank you very much to all of our sponsors. So today, we have over 1,600 people registered. And it looks like most of you are in this room already. You're all wanting to build your knowledge on AWS. We have 11 sponsors, I've already mentioned, and you'll be participating in 17 breakout sessions we've designed and built for you, and our first our first ever student track as well. So don't forget that. So let's take a quick look at how we've built our business over the last year. We have, over just a little bit more than 12 years, grown to millions of active customers every month. These are millions of customers who are using us, not those that have just registered an account, but that are using us every month. Millions. And we've now grown to a $24 billion revenue run rate as of Q2 2018, which is 49% year-on-year growth over the same period last year. And this is a list of some of our public sector customers, those that are willing to share their story with all of you. So customers continue to embrace the potential of AWS in the cloud. There's actually tens of thousands of government, education, and non-profits using AWS today. Whilst you see some of them pictured here, you don't see the incredible work they're doing on AWS. For example, one of the logos there is NASA JPL, who will be part of the keynote later. They're leveraging the power of AWS for their Mars exploration programs, finding maybe an alternate place if this place that we're on today doesn't work out for us. You'll get to hear from 3 of these customers during the keynote and many more throughout the day. And our customers have always told us that one of the unique advantages of AWS is our partner network. So here is a list of some of the premier consulting partners that are available for you to help you take your journey into the cloud with AWS. In 2017, we added over 10,000 new partners, and we now have tens of thousands of APN partners located around the globe. In fact, over 60% of those APN partners are headquartered outside the US. Our networks include well-known consulting partners, include many of those highlighted on this slide. And don't forget ISVs and software as a service providers, an ever-increasing range of those as well. People like Telos and Intel, who are our sponsors today. And when it comes to the public sector, we heard you. In November 2016, we launched the Public Sector Partner Program. Today, the program has over 690 APN partners. We've added specific public sector competencies too. At the summit last year, we launched an education-focused competency. Along with our existing government competency, we're growing a community of partners that are providing you solutions that are unique to public sector. And our customers are here too. Many of you are our customers already, but across ASEAN, we have customers in the government space, in the education space, and the non-profit space, doing amazing things, building on the power of the AWS cloud. And I mentioned earlier education and educating the workforce. It's really important to what we do. AWS Educate is the program that we're bringing to the market to allow students, educators, and the workforce get up to speed with AWS. It forms the cornerstone of our efforts to build Singapore and the region's next generation workforce. And today there's more than 10,000 educators and hundreds of thousands of students in more than 200 countries and territories that have enrolled in this program. Over the last year, we've expanded across access to Educate by launching the program in Spanish and Portuguese, and we'll continue to announce more languages and programs later on. We've also got new learning pathways that are relevant to some of the new technologies that are coming out. Our recently launched Alexa badge, for example, teaches students how to build and publish new Alexa skills. And we've seen some great examples of students here in Singapore who are building really incredible Alexa skills that are really helpful for everyone. We recently launched a new machine learning pathway to teach our members how to solve real-world problems with machine learning and artificial intelligence. And finally, AWS Educate members can now receive $200 worth of free content on Udacity's Machine Learning Engineer Nano Degree program. You don't have to be where that course is. It's available to everyone online, $200 worth of free content for anyone who enrolls in AWS Educate. So, join AWS Educate today to start your journey to the cloud. We have Educate customers right across the region. Here's a sample of them across Korea, Japan, ASEAN, India, and Australia and New Zealand. So we've got some great customers who are already taking advantage of the Educate program in the region today. We're building your skills too because you and LinkedIn keep telling us that the cloud and distributed computing are the most in-demand skills. For the third year in a row, the most in-demand skills are cloud. So we can't slow down. Gartner estimates that the cloud sector will grow to $411 billion by 2020. So we've got to keep going. In response to the challenge, we've already built more than 100 free courses. We've provided free access to the Cloud Practitioner Essentials and launched training to help you prepare for your AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam. When I speak to young people around the world about cloud, I encourage them to dive right in and start building. But they need to learn, and that's what this is all about. And I encourage you to do the same. We've made it easier than ever to get started with AWS training. You can enroll in free digital training and get unlimited access to more than 100 courses built by AWS experts. And we're also offering free access to our AWS Cloud Practitioner Essentials. It's curriculum that allows you to prepare for the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam. Let me wrap up by going through the agenda with you. So after the keynotes today at 10:30 till 11, you'll have a morning tea break in the Solutions Expo. Please take the time to spend some time talking with the partners that are out there in the Solution Expo. They're there ready to share with you how you can start building on AWS. After the morning tea break, from 11 till 1, we'll have 3 breakout sessions, one after the other. And then at 1 o'clock, we're going to have some lunch, again, back in the Solutions Expo area, so you can have an opportunity one more time to meet with all those solution partners and learn more about how they can help you with your journey. And then after lunch, we've got 3 more sessions between 2 and 4 o'clock, followed by a short tea break from 4 to 4:30. And then the final 2 sessions of the day, starting at 4:30 to 5:50. And then, one more time, you get an opportunity to spend some time in the Solutions Expo, but with some refreshments in hand, and hopefully you'll take advantage of both the refreshments and the final opportunity to spend some time with our solution partners in the Solution Expo. So, the question I'm going to leave with you is, what will today's summit inspire you to go and build on AWS? And while you ponder that question, I'll ask Alexa to introduce the next keynote speaker. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Tricia Davis-Muffet, Director Worldwide Public Sector Marketing, Amazon Web Services.
Hi, everyone. So excited to see you all here today. I'm very excited to be here because we love the innovation that we see here in Singapore. It's been really one of the earliest adopters of the potential of the cloud, and we're so excited to see the momentum, to see all of you here, and to see what's going on in this business. So, as public sector customers, you know that the main story is not just about the technology. Of course, the technology is what enables us, but it's not just about technology for you. Whether you're in government, education, or nonprofits and NGOs, or in a company that serves those organizations, what you're really focused on is making sure that you can deliver on the mission. And so that's why we are focused on in the public sector team on making sure that we're delivering what you need so that you can focus on the mission. So let me dive a little bit deeper on some of the technology, and then we're going to bring up some of our customers to tell you what they've been doing so that you can understand what some of your peers have done using the technology. So since day one, we have listened to you about what you needed in order to meet your IT needs. So we have heard your requests of us, and we have innovated on your behalf. On security, you told us that you needed a secure environment. We know that. And so we have made sure that what we have provided to you is the most secure environment that you could ask for. And this year at our Public Sector Summit in Washington, D.C., one of our intelligence community customers came on stage, and he said, on its worst day, the cloud is more secure than any client-server environment. So that's an intelligence community customer saying that. Agility. You told us that you need to be agile. When your citizens, when your students, when your constituents demand something, you need to be able to react. And so that's why we've given you the power to deploy hundreds or thousands of servers in minutes to do whatever you need to do. Elasticity. You told us that you needed to scale to meet demand, and I know that the future is fundamentally unknowable. When you have to look out 3 or 5 years and determine how much capacity you'll need for storage in the future, that's an impossible task. So what we've provided you with is a design that will help you scale infinitely for whatever you need as you go, and also not waste your budget or waste your time on procuring things that you don't need. And that brings us to cost savings. So, of course, cost savings is critical in the public sector. You want to put as much money and people resources into doing the things that you're supposed to do rather than wasting it on things that are not adding value. So we know that that's a priority. We help you eliminate upfront costs, only paying for the IT as you consume it. And as we gain savings by scaling up our infrastructure, we pass that on to our customers. And so thanks to those economies of scale, we've reduced prices 66 times since we launched in 2006. So these benefits are not just for the public sector, they're not just for our customers here in Singapore, but they're for every AWS customer all over the world. And what we have built is an infrastructure with truly global scale. While others claim to have a global presence and talk about what they have in different regions, we've created an industrial scale region infrastructure, physical locations around the world where we cluster data centers so you can know that every region we deploy is truly resilient. We have 18 geographic regions with more coming online soon. You can see in our announcements that we're constantly looking for new places to expand. And we have 55 availability zones and 136 edge locations in countries around the world. So no matter where you need to deploy technology, we are there for you. AWS provides an unmatched breadth of capabilities. So many people, when they think about cloud computing, they think about storage, they think about processing in the cloud, and of course, those are the fundamentals of cloud computing. But as you can see here, this is not just about a couple of things that are available in the cloud. We have a pace of innovation that really is unmatched in the industry. It's not just a big number here. You can see last year we launched over 1,400 new services and features in just 1 year. That's a huge amount of innovation coming out. And one example of this is just a couple days ago, we launched a new EC2 instance types that were high memory instances with 12 terabytes of memory available that are purpose-built for SAP HANA. So just constantly innovating and bringing new things to market. Because of this, you can innovate quickly too. You don't have to ask for everything new. You get the new innovations as they are rolled out into the platform. And a pace like this requires a fluency in the cloud that others simply can't match. So our track record shows you that we constantly innovate. We push ourselves harder and harder. We're launching more and more new services and features every year, and that's something that we will never back down from. So here, as I mentioned, you may think of the cloud as just storage and compute, but what we offer today is a very broad range of services that really is much more than storage and hosting. What's pictured here is a true builder's toolkit. Really everything that you can need, whether it's analytics, DevOps, application services, mobile services, IoT, machine learning, enterprise applications, hybrid architecture, migration services. Everything you need is here in AWS. And it all can be deployed in that quick and innovative manner that you've come to know with deploying EC2 and S3 instances. We offer tools, not frameworks, so that you can build a 21st century architecture using the over 130 services that we offer to craft anything that you can imagine. And as you decide to move your infrastructure over to the cloud, there's not just one way to go about it. We have seen across the public sector industries and across commercial industries, across the world, we have seen our customers take advantage of cloud computing in many different ways, whatever fits their model. So as you're moving, you have multiple options. You can rehost. You can just pick up exactly what you have, lift and shift it, move it over to the cloud, and gain the efficiencies of that architecture. Or you can choose to re-platform your applications. So you can lift up and then reshape what you're doing to take better advantage of the cloud. That'll give you even more efficiencies. Still good if you're going to rehost, but even more advantages if you decide to re-platform and do some of those easy optimizations that will take advantage of the new architecture. Or you can re-provision, where you pick and choose what you're going to re-platform and what you're going to actually take into a cloud-native mode. Or you may decide you want to completely re-architect what you're doing, really rewrite and decouple the applications that you were running on premises and make them new in the cloud. Really take advantage of the cloud in as broad a way as possible, making use of microservices and serverless, really taking advantage of cloud-native architectures. The point is, transformation is not one size fits all. It's wherever you are, whatever you can do to take advantage of the new capabilities available to you now. And we see our customers taking lots of different approaches. So really take a look at that and think about where you are and what you could do now. So now I'd love to have you hear from one of our customers right here in Singapore who is really taking advantage of digital transformation. Alexa, please help me introduce our next customer speaker.
Please welcome to the stage, Kendrick Lee, Deputy Director, National Digital Identity, Government Technology Agency of Singapore.
Thank you, Tricia, and good morning, everyone. I'm Kendrick from GovTech, and I'm told this is a very local audience, so I won't go too much into background and everything, but most of you know GovTech as the implementation agency for Smart Nation. Right? You know we aspire to be a smart nation, to leverage technology, to build strong societies, better living, and create economic opportunities. Right? And today I'm going to talk about what is needed to do this. Right? So the bulk of our day-to-day interactions are actually not with government. Right? They are with each other, they are with businesses, right? And basically to achieve a smart nation, we need several things to happen. Right? Businesses need to digitalize, right? They need developers to help them with that. Hence, to build a smart nation, we need to do it together as a community, right? Developers, businesses, and the government. Right? And today, I will just share a case study using the National Digital Identity as the backdrop and the Mindful product as the case study to just illustrate to you how we are building a community using cloud technology. Now, before I begin, could I just have a show of hands? Who has heard of the National Digital Identity? All right, not many. Okay, who has heard of Mindful? All right, not many as well. All right, so let me just go straight in then. All right, so as we build a smart nation and as transactions become more digital, right, there's actually a need for a digital identity that can be used for both private sector and government transactions. Right, today, you might all feel that the environment is very fragmented. Right, there are different identities and tokens issued by different organizations, such as banks. Right, some of you may have a keychain of tokens. Right, so the idea is really for a government-issued identity for all residents that serves to enable three things. Right, the first is to validate who you say you are, as ubiquitous and as reliable as the NRIC you may hold. Right, as a means for you to authorize the access to your data or to access services. And lastly, as a way for you to give authorization for the sharing of your data. What this means for residents is, firstly, it is more secure, and you don't have to remember multiple usernames and passwords, or even carry multiple tokens. For businesses and agencies, it enables paperless and presence-less transactions, and I'll share some examples of what those are in the later part of my presentation. In building this national digital identity, we have a 4-layer stack. Right? Some people call it the batang, right? But we call it the NDI stack. And there are really 4 layers. The first is the trusted data, which is the government-verified data, right, that we are sharing with the individual's consent to enable some of these presence-less and paperless transactions. There's trusted identity, which is a certificate authority, PKI-based identity issued to everyone. Access, which is about authentication. And most importantly, is the trusted services. So these are the services that agencies, as well as the businesses, will build, leveraging on the bottom 4 layers. Right? This is really where we realize the smart nation, where real services are delivered to our residents. Right? So I will just use the Mindful layer as the case study, and let's dive right into that.
MyInfo. It's a service for all Singaporeans and PRs that pre-fills forms for you. Anyone with a SingPass account can use this time-saving feature. Your verified data is crafted into your own digital user profile. Once you authenticate yourself with SingPass, you can use your digital profile across a wide range of services. Just confirm your data and you're good to go. This means no more same old boring questions and no more repeated document submissions. So here's to life made so much easier. Any service requiring sensitive information, such as your finances, will prompt you for your permission. You can also use MyInfo for private sector services like banking. Rest assured that your data will only be released with your permission. Life is too short to fill up long forms, so take your next step towards a national digital identity and use MyInfo today.
All right, so what we are really trying to do with MyInfo is to change the way we transact digitally. Right, today, a lot of times when you transact digitally, you fill forms and submit documents. Right, with MyInfo, we're trying to change the paradigm to one where you authenticate yourself, you consent, and you share verified data. Right, for residents, it means that the transactions are more seamless, it's a better user experience. And for businesses, it means it's more productive because you receive machine-processable data and you potentially can fulfill transactions instantly. And I'll share some examples. So the tenet behind MyInfo is really consent-based data sharing, right? Because we're dealing with personal data, it's protected by the PDPA, right? And we need to ensure that the individual's privacy is respected. A typical MyInfo use case works like this. The first step, in this case, I'm using DBS Bank, one of our partners, to illustrate. So for example, if you choose to open a DBS account, right, you can select the MyInfo option. You're given the option to use the service. When you choose Retrieve MyInfo, you are prompted with a SingPass authentication, a 2FA, and a consent like this, the list of data that the banks ask for, and permission, right, to release this data to the bank. If you consent, the bank receives the data and is able to process your application immediately. Right? No more uploading documents, no more back-end verification, no more waiting a few days for a transaction to be approved. So I'm glad to announce that MyInfo is actually available across more than 70 private sector services today with almost 20 partners. Right? We launched this to the private sector in January this year, right? And we are very happy that so many of them have come on board. Now let's talk about what are some of the benefits our partners have reported to us in the use of MyInfo. For government services, we are seeing 80% reduction in transaction time because there's no need to fill forms, there's no need to find documents, right, and you can just proceed. We expect, and we're on track, to have 160 government services on MyInfo by the end of this financial year. For the financial industry, we are seeing instant account opening. Right? So OCBC was the first to launch instant account opening 3 months ago. Last weekend, DBS added all their credit cards and credit lines onto instant account opening. And on average, we see 50% of eligible customers using MyInfo in their transactions. For the banks that are offering instant account opening, this number is as high as 80%. The last case study is with UOB Bank. UOB Bank enabled MyInfo on their car loan platform for their partners. Today, if you go and buy a car, you know that a lot of times the salesman will write to you a quotation on a piece of paper. Right? And then when you decide to buy the car, you need to come back to a piece of paper to prove that that was the price he quoted you. With this platform, UOB does that all digitally, right? And with MyInfo, the loan quotation is also done digitally, and it reduces the loan approval from 3 days today to just 15 minutes. Right? So this is the power of machine-processable data coupled with the consent of the individual, right, to achieve real outcomes for residents. On average, we receive more than 10 proposals to use Mindful from the private sector every month. All right? And we are looking forward to all these partners coming on board and launching services in the coming months. So how did we actually enable this? We did this by providing 3 APIs to the public sector to consume. All right? These 3 APIs form the OAuth 2 pattern. All right? And on top of that, we have layered security, right? PKI digital signature, GWS, GWE, to ensure that it is robust, it is secure, right, and data remains safe. And when we launched this, we knew there were 500,000 businesses in Singapore, 500,000, right? But we weren't sure whether we would receive 100 requests, 1,000 proposals, or what, right? And like many of you, we have a small team, right? So from the onset, we were very sure that the engagement model had to be scalable and it had to be digital, right? And we actually developed a developer and partner portal for this purpose, right? So this means that if anyone wants to find out about API, they can just go to the portal, the QR code is there, right? They can access freely our API specifications, right? And only when you have developed your prototype, when you want to officially come on board, right, you use your COP+ credentials, right, to submit a link-up request. Right, so we're leveraging digital, right, to engage our target audience. Now, these are just some of the results we were seeing in terms of our developer and partner portal. Right? In November last year, we provisioned 3.3 million Mindful profiles of SingPass users, right? And we have had 13,000 developers and partners come and view our API specs and submit proposals. Right? We have 180 linked-up services from government as well as the private sector. I am told that actually this number is now closer to 200 because of the additional services that OCBC and DBS launched over the weekend. Right? And with more than 50 verified data items. If you look at the bar chart on the right, you can see that our transaction volume is growing phenomenally. Right? Between the last 2 quarters, there was almost a 100% increase, right, representing 1 million profile retrievals, additional profile retrievals. Right, so basically, we had to build something that could accommodate this community we were trying to engage, right? And essentially, we looked at what cloud technology could provide. Now, before I go into this, I need to highlight a few things. The first is that the personal data, right, remains on-premise, right? It's really our developer engagement platform, right, that's using cloud services, right? So it's really that part where we interact with our partners, be they private sector or be they agencies. The thing about the community we were engaging was that we had to respond to them quickly, right? And we had to look at providing new services as the demand appeared, right? And the beauty of using cloud is really the fact that you just use it, all right? We didn't have to buy a server, rack and stack it, find a space for it, right? We could try before we buy, right? So it allowed us to turn things around very quickly. So some of the things that we use today include project management, right? So I can easily get the status of where the various sprints and builds are, right? If I see an issue, I can raise it, right, on my mobile phone, and my team can work on it. When they have finished that piece of work, the staging environment is built automatically. The data that you see in terms of the statistics comes from web analytics, right? The cloud drives our email marketing for our mailing list. I get everything on my mobile phone, right? And we are able to monitor availability, uptime, as well as events, right? So it's really a suite of tools that you can just take and use. And if there's an upgrade, right, you don't have to procure the upgrade. It's just there, and you can just use the new version. So what does a typical day look like for us, right? So on my phone, I get messages from my team, right, such as the deck for a similar conference we did earlier. right? Like we get status of the daily builds that are happening. We get updates on the tickets and the issues that we've raised, and whether it's closed or who's working on it. Right? We have availability in terms of how the various services are doing, right? Who's signed up to our mailing list, and who's coming to look at our portal, right? So all on my phone. Right? So for those of you who are thinking about internet surfing separation, this is one way to get everything done without that encumbrance. Right? And I will just want to close on this slide. Right? For those of you, for our practitioners, you know what this is. Right? I wouldn't mention it. Right? But essentially, one of the things that we were able to do very quickly, right, is to come up with an APM-like visualization of the status of our services. Right? If you use a traditional approach, you really will only be able to get to the first two graphs at the bottom. Right? But with this, with the cloud technology available, right, and by composing the various tools that you saw in the earlier slide, right, we were able to gain end-to-end visibility of each portion of our application, right, because each part resides on a different architecture, on a different infrastructure. Right? So even though the transaction traverses many different components and different systems, right, we are able to have full visibility of the availability of the entire Mindful API architecture. Right, with that, I hope you have found this useful. And if you have any suggestions on how Mindful can benefit your organization, the products you're developing, please talk to us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope that that was interesting to you. I certainly always love to hear what GovTech is doing. Our customers here in the Singapore government have been really at the forefront of embracing new technology and experimenting and learning and innovating on behalf of citizens. All right, so the Digital Identity Program is an incredible example of government innovation. And I think that that leads us right into the idea of security and the priority that we place on security. So I want to dive into that a little bit more because, of course, we know that here in public sector, you guys are really focused on security, making sure that you have the best security possible. We get questions all the time about how we focus on security and what it is that we're doing. So when it comes to security, you have told us that you want to be as secure as AWS. And so we've put the same security and tools and services that we use into your hands. So earlier, I talked about the pace of innovation, and you saw that number of more than 1,400 services that we rolled out last year. More than 400 of those new services and features had security as a primary output. So you can see of that group of services that we rolled out, we're very focused on constantly innovating and improving security. Some of the most powerful security tools that we have automate the processes that are used that used to take incredible manual time and effort. And because we know that one of the hardest things about security is making sure that the human beings who are involved in security processes actually do what needs to be done. So the more that we can automate, the better security is going to be. So I just want to give you a sense of what these services are. So identity management. You can define, enforce, and audit permissions with services like AWS Cognito. Detective control, spotting issues before they become an impact on your operations is critical to having a modern security infrastructure. So services like Amazon Guard Duty and AWS CloudTrail, as you saw, help you keep an eye on what's going on with your services and your applications so that you can be ahead of any issues. Infrastructure security, increasing the levels of privacy and control of your infrastructure with AWS services like Amazon Inspector. Data protection, complementing automatic data encryption services, we offer additional features such as Amazon Macie. Incident response, during an incident, you get information containing the event and returning it to a known good state. So that's vital to actually returning to a continuity of operations and being able to return yourself to be up and running after an incident. So, and we also have teams of solution architects, account managers, and our AWS security team who is here to help you identify what you need to do, what you need to deploy, and help you have the most robust security possible. And then also plenty of self-service tools. So we have an Amazon security resource center that gives you white papers, code snippets, best practices, anything that you could ever want. So please take advantage of that as well. But we also know that in public sector, it's not just about those straight up security services. You also have to be compliant with government regulations. And so here at AWS, we have always been among the first cloud providers to achieve cloud security and any other government compliance regimes. We know how critical this is for you, and so we have been the first multinational company to get Tier 3 multi-tier cloud security, MTCS certified, which is the highest level of certification. And we've done that in other places around the world as well. We are consistently at the forefront of government compliance. And finally, we're also vigilant about our customers' privacy, the data privacy. So data stored in the cloud is always owned by the customer. And you have full control over where that data is stored. So you can choose what region it's in, how it is processed, where it is. You own that data. You can also encrypt your data, either in motion or at rest. And all of our storage services have the ability to encrypt. And then content that has been encrypted is rendered useless without the applicable decryption keys. So you can rest assured that your data is private and owned by you. We'll continue to innovate in new ways to make encryption easier so that you can focus on innovating and building on AWS and not worry about whether your privacy is ensured. And certainly, I'm sure, as we all have seen, GDPR has been a major impact for everyone because any application touching a European citizen has to be compliant. And so now, we have resources available for anyone who is building applications to ensure GDPR compliance. We have a whole GDPR security and compliance hub on our website that can help you take advantage of that. So once you have a secure platform, then that frees you up to innovate. We want you to be focused on innovating and being able to bring new services to your citizens, to your students, to your constituents, to your customers as quickly as possible. And so having that secure foundation helps you to identify what you need to do next and move forward. So our next customer has a critically important mission. And as we're all aware, it's typhoon season. With hurricanes, earthquakes, and typhoons, innovation can make a big impact on trying to help us be prepared. So Alexa, please welcome to the stage our next customer speaker.
Please welcome to the stage Dr. Yunsang Ho, Disaster Response Lead, Advanced Rapid Imaging and Analysis Team, NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Thank you, Alexa. I thought I left Alexa at home. It's good to hear her here. Earlier at the beginning, Peter mentioned NASA JPL and exploring Mars. Yes, we explore Mars. Yes, we sent our spacecraft beyond the solar system. But at the same time, we seriously take care of the most important planet, the Earth. Disasters happening all the time on Earth. As we speak, we are working on responding to this Indonesian earthquake and tsunami. And we use data acquired from satellites orbiting around the Earth, and those data are being processed on the cloud. And this effort is being made by many people in our group at JPL and Caltech. This figure is showing the super typhoon Haiyan that is about to hit the Philippines, we also responded. I am leading this disaster response effort at JPL in the ARIA team. It represents Advanced Rapid Imaging and Analysis. It's a joint project at JPL and Caltech, and we're using our expertise on space geodesy, seismology, and data system engineering to build a system that uses algorithms to produce rapid disaster response products. We take GPS and synthetic aperture radar data. It's a high-resolution radar image acquired from satellites or aircraft, but we're using satellite data to produce ground deformation map. You can see in the middle, the Tohoku earthquake caused a huge ground deformation in Japan. But this presentation is going to focus on change detection map, flood extent map, as well as building damage map. And this whole thing is being processed using Amazon Cloud because we need that elasticity. Elastic computing environment provides and enables rapid response when we have to process a lot of voluminous radar data coming from satellites. About 4 months ago, there was a paper published in Nature that describes the global slowdown of tropical cyclone translation speed, especially over land, globally 10%, and Western North Pacific 30%. What it means is that these are not just numbers, but we are actually seeing that. For example, last year, Hurricane Harvey hit southern Texas. At the landfall, it was Category 4, and afterwards, it lingered above that area for a long time. So when the translation speed is slowing down, and the rain cloud, that means that rain cloud is moving slower, so the flood is becoming worse and worse. So in this figure, you see the cloud, and that's what you would see in optical image. We use radar data that penetrates radar. So in radar image, there's no cloud. It's very boring. It's always cloud-free Earth. And also radar maintain the same imaging geometry. So it's ideal for change detection just by looking at before and after image and subtract that. You immediately get the change detection information. Also, radar can image at night. It carries its own light source, and it covered a wide area. In this Sentinel-1 European satellite, swath width is 250 kilometers. ALOS-2 ScanSAR, this is 350 kilometers, and it takes about minutes to sweep out that large area. So after Hurricane Harvey landfall in southern Texas, you can see in this images acquired by MODIS optical sensor. Every day, it shows a time progression of the hurricane. And you can see the hurricane is moving slowly and dumping a lot of water in that area. So at the early stage of this response, we couldn't fly aircraft because of strong winds. Also, couldn't make ground observations because of the danger. So spaceborne SAR, synthetic aperture radar observations was pretty much the only hope to assess the effect and extent of the flood. So 2 days after the landfall, Japanese SAR satellite acquired data. You can see and compare the size of it to Houston. The black areas, black polygons indicates the size of the Houston. And 2 days after that, European SAR satellites acquired data, you can see. And only after about a week later, the cloud-free image was able to be imaged with optical sensor. To show the products we derive from those data. This first panel is showing the flood proxy map. We call it flood proxy map because it's not direct flood extent map observed on the ground, but it's derived from remote sensing data. So flood proxy map, or FPM, is shown there, and wherever you see light blue pixels every 30 meter 30 meter pixel spacing, that indicates the areas that are likely flooded. And the second panel is showing another FPM derived from European SAR data, and the same thing here. Using the same type of data, we also produce a different type of change detection map that indicates the building damage. We call it damage proxy map, or DPM. And this shows an example of Amatrice earthquake that occurred in 2016 in Italy. And the first panel in the left is showing the extent of the data. The light blue is the Japanese SAR data, and the red is the Italian Space Agency's SAR data, Cosmos SkyMed. And the white box is the extent of the Copernicus map that was produced by Copernicus Emergency Management Service Group, where they have a group of people looking at before and after high-resolution optical image. So in the upper panel, in the middle, is showing the radar data product we produce derived from Japanese SAR data, where you see yellow, orange to red pixels represents significantly more damage on the ground. And the second in the upper is the same type of product derived from Italian spacecraft SAR data. And the third one at the top is the Copernicus map. You can see that they are showing the same and very similar type of information spatially. And these data are acquired from the satellites orbiting around the Earth about 800 kilometers above the ground. But if you zoom in, like in optical image, these are not just pixels, the picture suddenly becomes personal. You can see that in the lower middle panel, a lot of buildings in this image, more buildings are collapsed than the buildings that are not damaged. And even more close-up in the lower right panel is showing the same red building and the tower. So that shows some accuracy and fidelity of the map. But also timing is important. This is showing our DPM, damage proxy map, derived from Sentinel European SAR satellites. And after the magnitude 7.1 Mexico City earthquake last year, and only 6.5 hours after the earthquake, Sentinel-1 SAR satellites acquired data, and within 24 hours, we produce this map and deliver to the CENAPRED, Mexican Civil Protection, as well as Mexican Space Agency. And you can see the extent indicated by this red polygon. It's a wide swath. Also, it has all the details inside. This is a KMZ file, so you can zoom in to the individual building level and start seeing all the details. Here are some examples of the zoom-in version. You can see on the upper left panel showing the red pixels, and that's where this Soriana supermarket in Mexico City is located. You can see the before and after image clearly showing the severe damage of that structure. The second example at the bottom is showing residential building, half of which collapsed due to the strong shaking of the earthquake. So we're producing these images, and these images are not just picture. They are really being used by responding agencies around the world. For example, After Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, FEMA actually used our map for their urban search and rescue team. They also used our product to estimate the number of households affected by the Louisiana flood, and also this Hurricane Florence. We responded and delivered our product to FEMA. And there are a number of the quotes from our stakeholders and end users, including the former President of the US, Barack Obama, mentioned our product as well. And this shows some examples of our response products. It's not just earthquake or hurricane. We also produce products for volcanic eruptions, and Nepal earthquake and Tohoku earthquake, as well as other various type of events that causes ground surface change around the world. It's not shown here, but we also recently produced the series of earthquakes in Lombok Island, Indonesia, as well as the Hokkaido earthquake in Japan. So Amazon's elasticity is great, but it's not enough for effective disaster response. We also need redundancy. So to do that, because we're located in, JPL is located in California. Actually, JPL is located right on active fault. And in Los Angeles area, it's basically waiting for the big earthquake. And when the big earthquake hits, our system will be compromised. So we want redundancy, we need redundancy. And given that Singapore is not really prone to major disaster events, there's no hurricane, typhoon, or earthquake so far, it's not a bad place to have redundant systems. So we recently were able to clone ARIA system in Singapore, and we were very happy about it. So there's another benefit of having just geographical spread. We can also take advantage of this time shift and more efficiently respond. What about the latency of SAR satellites? SAR data is great, cloud-free day and night, but how quickly can you acquire data? And this shows the past, current, and future SAR missions in the world. And x-axis shows the time. And since 1992, from the advent of SAR, civilian SAR missions, you can see that number of SAR missions are growing with time. So, and the thick gray curve shows the expected wait time, meaning that how long do we have to wait until we see the first satellite after any event. In this particular example, it was calculated based on latitude about 36 degrees. It's about location of Tokyo. And then combining all these satellites, we only have to wait about 6 hours to see the first SAR satellite. To summarize, the ARIA system is being automated for rapid disaster response, and ARIA's flood proxy map and damage proxy map that are being used by responding agencies around the world. We're improving the algorithms called FPM2, DPM2 that uses polarimetric interferometric SAR time series analysis. And this requires whole new level of technology. For example, it could involve 200 SAR scenes rather than 2 or 3 SAR scenes. It could involve 20,000 more computing hours. But that's okay. With elasticity, 20,000, we just have to deploy 20,000 times larger number of nodes and get the result in a similar time. But data download is limited by the bandwidth. So we identified that issue, and we are currently discussing with the Earth Observatory Singapore and Amazon Singapore for Sentinel-1 SAR data ingestion. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Dr. Sang Ho. What another great example of using technology for the greater good, and taking advantage of the most current innovations to really help to be better prepared, and allowing local authorities to prepare and do their best to minimize impact on communities when natural disasters hit. All right, so looking at the JPL story, you can see the value of having real-time access to data can bring to your mission. It has never been easier or less expensive to collect, store, and analyze data than it is with the cloud and with AWS. And we are seeing customers all across the world, and customers here in this region, take advantage of those technologies and really process and analyze the data in real time. A couple of my favorite stories here. We have the Genome Institute of Singapore, who you saw last year if you came to this event, and they've been have come and spoken in Washington, D.C. as well. And they really are accelerating analytics for the future of genomics using AWS Lambda, solving the problem of sharing huge data files, which they used to have to put onto a drive and then ship to the United States for researchers to share. And now they can very quickly and economically share data across researchers. And we see this across the board with people who are doing very large-scale genomic research, that they are able to take advantage of the cloud to get what they're doing done faster, really accelerating the path to cures for previously uncurable diseases. And Pita Benkana, another of our customers here. This is using AWS. The University of Wollongong is working on behalf of the government of Indonesia for real-time crowdsourced flood information through IoT water level sensors, and using AWS recognition to help rescue workers focus their efforts in the cases of floods. So another opportunity to use analytics in a new way to help address a very difficult issue. And speaking of recognition, that is one of the services that we offer in the world of machine learning. So we're all hearing a lot of hype about machine learning. I'm sure, who here has heard about machine learning? Nobody? Nobody's heard of it? Come on, hands up. Okay, so a lot of people have heard of machine learning, but it's pretty difficult to separate what's hype versus what is reality. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about what is real and the real world of machine learning that we are helping you make a reality. So we've applied more than 20 years of experience gained through Amazon's retail business. So I'm going to try again. Get ready with your hands. Has anyone here ever purchased anything on Amazon.com? Anyone? Okay. So when you purchase something on Amazon.com, we make recommendations to you based on what other people have purchased, based on what might go along with the products that you're offering. That is machine learning. That's real-world machine learning. And we've been training those models for years, and we've been learning through our retail business. And now we're bringing all of the things that we have learned there, as well as what we've learned through working with many customers, to you so that you can use these services to build services and applications for your constituents. So the thing is, though, for a long time, machine learning has been the domain of experts. You sort of put your machine learning request into a black box, you let the experts go, you got back what you got back. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. And that has definitely been the case at Amazon, that we have relied on experts. But with all the experience that we have now, we have built a complete stack of capabilities that really helps people at any skill level with machine learning take advantage of these capabilities. So when we think about machine learning, we see a stack that's composed of 3 layers. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to take a look at each one of these layers. At the bottom of the stack, AWS supports all of the major machine learning frameworks, from Caffe2 to MXNet to TensorFlow. These are all real services that are being used by our customers today. This means that you have the flexibility to bring or develop any model that you choose as you take advantage of machine learning technologies. But next, for those who want to remove themselves from the infrastructure of machine learning and focus on their data and their models, we created a second layer of our stack, Amazon SageMaker. SageMaker is managed end-to-end from collecting and preparing your data to deploying and operating a production machine learning model with a single click. And training and hosting are billed by minutes of usage with no minimums and no upfront commitments. So it really helps you be able to test and take advantage and experiment with machine learning as you identify a need. And finally, at the top layer of the stack, we have lowered the barriers of entry to machine learning, helping everybody be able to take advantage of machine learning. We have API-driven services such as AWS Recognition that I mentioned, but also Amazon Lex, Amazon Poly, and Amazon Translate, helping you take advantage of voice computing that really is becoming a wave of the future, especially in citizen engagement. And leveraging these tools requires developers just to make a simple API call. Definitely no longer the domain of experts. Virtually every size of organization across industries and across regions are running machine learning on AWS, and many customers here in this region as well. So let's hear more about how our customers are innovating for the public good. Alexa, who's next?
Please welcome to the stage Dr. Matthew Berryman, Chief Executive Officer, Across the Cloud Proprietary Limited, Doctors Without Borders.
Morning. So I'm here today to talk to you about REACH. We've seen from Dr. Sung Ho's talk there's a wide variety of disaster information that's out there being processed on the cloud. REACH is a decision support platform that uses some of that information to support Medicine Sans Frontières, that's Doctors Without Borders in English, to analyse and respond to disasters around the world. This is a joint project between Doctors Without Borders, Urban Systems and Environments Research Group, and my company Across the Cloud. My company also works on the Peter Bencana system, which we've already heard about. Also working on SharkEye, which is a system for real-time image recognition of drones and sharks and sending those alerts through to surfers on their watches. And also working with intelligent materials on low-cost graphene smart sensors for infrastructure, the Internet of Bridges and the Internet of Roads, etc. So our goal with REACH here was to build a platform designed to support improved information management in emergencies and to foster more efficient decision support during disasters. The objective is to effectively and efficiently combine institutional data with crowdsourced information, including social media and RSS feeds, in real time, equipping Doctors Without Borders with virtual eyes on the ground. We're modern software builders and leverage some of these off-the-shelf solutions from AWS that we've just heard about, and from AWS partners. The outcome is a modern platform that is being used by Doctors Without Borders in Southeast Asia, and we're also exploring the potential for this platform in other parts of the world and for a wider variety of medical responses. So in REACH, we combine unstructured and structured data into one coherent platform to make Doctors Without Borders staff more efficient in responding to emergencies. Before REACH, there was no way of collecting structured information from members of the public, other sources of information like RSS feeds, and no central repository for collating, viewing, and using that information to plan a response. But with REACH, we now have that system. So in the demo I'm just about to show you, we'll consider how the platform might be used to manage response to flooding during Jakarta's monsoon. So when I first open REACH, I can see at a glance information from a wide variety of different RSS feeds on disasters that are currently occurring in the region, such as volcanic eruptions. We can see a list of ongoing MSF responses, and we can zoom in and see these on the map. We can also get a list of previous MSF responses in the area, as well as contacts, and we can search through that contact information. So this is then obviously used by Doctors Without Borders in figuring out who is able to respond to the emergencies. So for each particular event, we can see a wide variety of information, including notifications, capacity, ongoing response, visa requirements for staff that they need to fly in, etc. A whole range of different information. We can see reports that have been sent in by peers, members of the public, etc., and these can be confirmed or denied. And I'll talk about the actual reporting mechanism later. So we've also got social media feeds, so Twitter. We get suggested languages that we can then translate and the search terms on and search, and we can save these tweets. So on this page, there are also some sharing links to share the report card system with members of the public, MSF peers, etc. Here I'll demonstrate via email. So we can send off an email to someone in the area who may have some information about that event that's going on. And by opening up this link, they then get into the reporting system within Reach. So this is then the report card that they can then use to submit information, such as the location. Then the type of information, here some access information, a description, for example, blocked roads, optionally their name, and they can upload a photo as well. And all of that is to provide more information to operators to better support their decision-making processes. We can also collect contact information on relevant contacts, be they logistics contacts, doctors in the area, local people, etc. And all of that information then becomes available back in the system. The system is being used to monitor real events such as the Lombok earthquake event and more recently the earthquake and tsunami in Sulawesi, Indonesia. We use a wide variety of different AWS services such as Virtual Private Cloud, Elastic Beanstalk, AWS Lambda, databases, etc. to provide a reliable, secure platform for Doctors Without Borders. Thank you. Terima kasih. Sheshe. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Dr. Behrman. What an incredible story about what's possible when you take data from as many sources as possible, process it, and make sense of that data to get it into the hands of people who need it the most. All right, so as we come to a close, I want to encourage you to think about the great tech for good stories that we heard here today and how customers around the globe are contributing to digital transformation unlike anything that we have seen in our lifetimes. It's inspiring to see the downstream impacts of these developments in technology, especially across the public sector as they have impact on citizens right here and around the globe. So, we talk a lot about builders. I just want to talk for a second about who the builders are. It's easy to think that builders are just the people with their hands on the keyboards, just the developers, and you can think, well, that's not me, so maybe I'm not a builder. But I bet every single person here in this room, and I see you, people in the overflow room, that you are all builders because you came here to find out about this technology, whether you're a developer yourself or whether you're in IT operations, whether you're a data professional or data scientist, or whether you're a business person who is looking to transform. You're the kind of person who looks at a problem and doesn't sit back and say somebody else is going to solve that, but says, I'm going to build the solution to that problem. And those are the kind of people who we need to be builders here at AWS. We want to put services into your hands so that no matter what your title or your role, you can take on the future as a builder. And speaking of the future, you heard earlier about AWS Educate, the program that we have that helps our students get education and become builders for the future. But there's another program also that's called We Power Tech to help build diversity and inclusion into that technology workforce. We know that one of the greatest challenges that we have going into the future is having enough builders who are ready to build the future. And so we need to make sure that this building is not just for those people who are going to elite institutions or who have been raised in a family that tells them you're a person who should be a computer programmer, you're a person who should take on IT, but for everyone who is underrepresented in tech, as well as everyone who has a head start. We are building this program to train hundreds of new people around the world who have come from families that didn't even have computers, to help girls and women become more encouraged to join the technology workforce, and to really open wide the funnel of technology professionals and bring everybody inside. So I'm proud of the impact that we're having with We Power Tech, and I encourage you to look for opportunities to bring new organizations to us. We've partnered with over 50 organizations around the world, and we're constantly adding new partners. So help us identify other partners, and you also reach out to those organizations that serve underrepresented populations in technology and help us bring the next generation of builders into the fold. So we're excited to see what that next generation of builders will build. We're excited to see what you will build with the technology. I hope you'll think about Peter's question earlier, what will you build here? Please take some time also to tell us how the summit is for you, whether you're learning the things that you need to learn. You've got QR codes on your badges. Please give us feedback. We want to build the content that you need so that you can be ready to build in the future. And so without further ado, take this technology and go build. Now, Alexa, tell us what we have to look forward to the rest of the day.
Oh yes. Please join us in the Solutions Expo to meet with AWS subject matter experts, partners, sponsors, and your peers. Then join us for the continuation of our program in the breakout session rooms. Also, make sure you stay around for our closing reception. You won't want to miss it.